What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Plus Money Sports Betting Podcast. My name is Q. You can follow me on all socials at Bets by Q. And of course, this podcast is brought to you by Black Sheep Betting, where it is a dog's world. You'll find a few links in the description. First is the VIP. Look, the last few weeks of the VIP have been really strong. We are on a very strong start to the year, and it's important to understand why. Because it's not about volume betting. It's about value betting. It's not about parlays. This isn't a place where you're going to find 10K challenges or lottery tickets. We don't chase losses. The VIP is built for value over volume. We're not forcing plays. We're finding the best number on the board each day, regardless of the sport. And we're coming out on top week over week. That's the whole philosophy here, okay? Discipline, consistency, and patience. That is how you survive the long seasons and to actually make money in the sports betting world. All right. The second link in the description is for the free Discord chat. It is hosted by my friend Will from the Double Fault Tennis Podcast. And yes, it is completely free to join. We want people in there, especially right now. I mean, tennis season is heating up, fully underway. Australian Open qualifiers have just began yesterday, and the Tennis Channel is buzzing. You'll mostly find me in the Tennis Channel, but we have, a channel for every single sport and then some, okay? So there are unlimited seats at the table. We'd love to have you in there. We are talking sports 24/7, 365, every single hour of every single day, sharing plays, celebrating wins, coping with the losses together. The community is growing really fast, almost 1,000 members in there, and it's one of my favorite parts of this entire thing, all right? And then lastly, of course, we have the public bet tracker in the bio as well. Transparency is key, okay? I want new listeners and active listeners to be able to see exactly where we're at every single day. No hiding, no gimmicks, no funny business. All right. Speaking of the bet tracker, let's recap yesterday because it was a good one. We went 2 for 3 to start the week, and honestly, a really solid day overall. Let's start with the Tampa Bay Lightning. We had them on the puck line against the Philadelphia Flyers, and that one was really never in doubt, all right? Tampa Bay wins convincingly, 5-1. Nikita Kucherov tacks on an empty net goal to continue his 2-point streak, now at, I believe, 8 straight games with points. And then, of course, the big storyline there, John Cooper, head coach for the Lightning, picks up his 600th career win behind the Tampa Bay bench. The game really wasn't close at all, so cashing that at plus 180 felt really good. The line was definitely mispriced because Philly was never in it to begin with, okay? Now let's talk about this football game. And, this is why you never count your chicks before they hatch. We had the Packers plus 3. We also had the under 38.5, each for 1 unit. At halftime, this game was 7-6 in favor of the Texans. I'm feeling great. I got people texting me, hey, you're sharp as nails, bro. All these things. People asking, hey, should I double down on the Steelers? Should I take the money line? Just said, hey, let's just ride this out, okay? It's 7-6. As of right now, both bets look very cashable. Well, the second half flipped completely. 2 defensive touchdowns blow the game wide open, and suddenly it's, 30-6. At that point, the spread we know is chop suey, okay? So we're not fighting for that anymore, but the under is still very much alive. But with 3 minutes left, a garbage time touchdown, I guess, or field goal would have absolutely killed us. Thankfully, it didn't happen. Aaron Rodgers gets pulled from the game, which honestly felt, I guess, bittersweet. It was hard to watch that game in a lot of ways. But it was symbolic, all right? A tip of the cap to what will be a Hall of Fame career. The Steelers ran the ball 3 times and didn't even attempt to score despite being on the Texans side of the field. So we escaped with the under intact. That felt insanely good. So even if you got it at 37.5, which is what I said this number is playable to, you still cash because the number lands on 36. So yes, 2 for 3 on the day. And man, I guess if that was really A-Rod's last game, and I guess why wouldn't it be? It truly does feel like the end of an era, at least for my generation. Believe it or not, the only man left standing now from that group is going to be Matthew Stafford. But man, Aaron Rodgers was electric early and often. I remember being a kid during the Favre, shenanigans when Favre was talking about retiring, then he wouldn't retire, and he came back, and A-Rod was just patiently waiting for his chance, and it feels like the Packers always strike gold when it comes to these quarterbacks. But the gold jacket is coming sooner rather than later for Aaron Rodgers. I guess the real question is, will he actually be off the grid forever like he claims when he walks away from football? I don't know, dude. An oddity of a man for sure, but an even rarer football player. I raise my glass and tip my hat to one of the best to ever do it. All right, let's get into today's card. I've got one play for you, okay? And again, this is all about finding the best value on the board. It's a regular Tuesday, okay? There's no football on. There's not a playoff game here. We're in the qualifiers for the Australian Open. I'm not going to give Australian Open bets just yet. We're going to get through qualifiers. So in the next few days, then you'll start to see some of the Australian Open main draw picks that I'll have, and of course with some futures there, which will likely be, centered around, Alcaraz and Sinner, to be honest with you. But let's look at a spot where the numbers and the situation line up today. I really do like the Carolina Hurricanes on the puck line against the St. Louis Blues. The number is plus 140. First off, look, the Blues, they've lost 3 straight games, and it's not like they've been competitive losses. They've gotten beat by 2 or more goals in all 3, so they have failed to cover the puck line. And then, they're 6 straight losses now. They haven't been able to cover the puck line, which tells you something. When it starts to go bad for this team, it really goes bad. This team isn't built with grit. They don't have the ability right now to tighten it up defensively and grind out a 1-goal loss, all right? They're getting absolutely destroyed when they step into the arena with these teams. And remember, earlier in the season, if you're an avid listener, we talked about this exact team, and we faded them for, good 2 weeks. They were a fade target because of their lackluster defense, and especially the inability to transition on defense. But they can't exit the zone cleanly, man. I mean, they get stuck playing defense for 60 minutes, and, against the Hurricanes, that is exactly how you get buried. Carolina is one of the best teams in hockey at keeping teams hemmed in, extending shifts, and breaking you down. And then when you look at it from the Hurricane side of things, I mean, this is the key part. Even in their losses, Carolina doesn't lose normal, all right? All 6 of their last, I guess, like, this is a team that will be in it till the buzzer, all right? And to me, that matters for puck line bettors because it shows you something about how they play. When Carolina is off, they get down and they start pressing, and it snowballs. And when they're on, they bury teams, all right? That's why you're not just taking the money line here. We're going to take the puck line because Carolina has that gear where they can absolutely win this game 4-1 or 5-2 or 6-3. I mean, they're coming off a 1-goal loss to Detroit, who honestly has been a lot better than people expected. So there's no shame there. That's not an embarrassing loss for the Hurricanes. That's a good team in a tight game. And now Carolina gets a bounce back spot where they can steady the ship right before the schedule starts to get a little bit nastier. And then here's another angle I feel like that matters. Carolina's the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, so they're not playing with desperation. They're playing with control game after game. They can afford to drop one, sure, but the thing here is that they also know that they've got a tough run ahead. So I guess that just means that this is the exact type of game that contenders like the Hurricanes have to take care of business in. You don't mess around. You don't play with your feud with a team that is slumping like the St. Louis Blues, okay? You can come in, get up early, strangle the game, and stylistically, this matchup just screams Canes. St. Louis, like we said, they struggle in transition. Carolina forces a bunch of turnovers, lots of block shots, and, they keep the pressure going. And if the Blues fall behind early. We already said, look, they don't have the build to claw back in to a game and chase down the runner. Okay, so I'm rocking with the Carolina Hurricanes today, -1.5 for 1 unit. It's the only play on the board. Okay, Blues are bleeding. Carolina stable, and the Hurricanes are the type of team that turns a should-win game into a multi-goal win. All right, so one play on the board, 1 unit in play. We're on the Hurricanes -1.5 at +140. That's the card. All right. Good luck tonight. I'll be back here tomorrow with more plus money plays. As always, my name is Q from Black Sheep Betting, and I hope each and every one of you hit each and every one of your bets. I'll see you in the Discord. Peace.